put this light over here. That might be too much on my face on this camera.
Sorry, you barely spot much.
You know they can hear you, right?
It's okay. I'm using plain language.
So, all right. Has some more loop braiding today. Going to start out this morning in prepping 2 braids. One of them is going to be a practice braid or a demonstration braid for those who are. I'm looking over here because taking some things for the channel. So I'm going to start off by putting together a demonstration braid. So if folks come in and they want to see something demonstrated, I can do that. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put together a braid, a bicolored loop braid, and we're going to use that to create a triangle braid. So let's get started. So material I'm going to use today for both is going to be the silk bamboo. I really like it. It demonstrates well on camera. So let's see the practice braid. And we'll do the 7 loop one. So just like I talked about before, just take your end, stretch it out across to your opposite shoulder. And the reason I like to do this for practice braids or demonstrations is that you don't need additional equipment. It's easy and quick to measure, and it is. I don't give it exact lengths because it varies from person to person, and this distance folded in half gives you enough room that you can spread your arms enough that you can get proper tension. So I'm just going to fold this over 3 times. We're going to do a 7 loop one today for the demonstration. So once you measure, you don't have to measure again. You just fold it over, pinch, make sure you got it nice and clear at the top, or nice and clear, nice and even at the top. So the closer you can to be even, the better. So, and the other nice thing about is that you don't need to cut each individual loop free for demonstration or practices. Yes, there will be a little bit of messiness at the beginning of the braid, but you're not using it for anything other than to practice, and so there's no need to go through the extra effort. It's one of the things that with doing practice and building that habit is that early on, the more things in the way of you setting up and getting going, the less likely you are to do it. So by not cutting free each loop, you can good morning, welcome. You can get back to or get into practice right away, and there's less barrier. So the other thing, if you have the space for it, is to set up your workspace, a dedicated workspace, so that way you don't have to keep putting things away. Because if you put it away, then you got to get everything out, you got to get set up, and then you got to prepare the braid, and that can get a little bit more of a mind piece and not wanting to braid and practice. So alright, let's see, is that what I want? Yep. So if If you don't already know, and you joined me this morning, we are working on Japanese loop braiding today. I am putting together a demonstration braid for folks who come in and they want to see something demonstrated. And then I'm going to put together a bicolored loops, and we're going to work on a triangle braid today. Let's see, 3. So, got to make sure I'm in camera a little bit more. I need to figure out how to do commands with sounds. Well, actually, I think I know how to do that. I just need to actually download some sounds and do it. All right. So I think this is about as much of a separation that I do for my practice and demonstration braids. Good morning, welcome to the channel. So this morning, working on Japanese loop braiding, and I'm putting together a practice demonstration braid. And this is for those who come in and they want to see a specific move or something demonstrated. And so that way I can pick this up and take care of that for you. And then I'm also going to go ahead after this, put together a bicolored loops, and we're going to work on doing a triangle braid. So neat little tip is once you've made your little knot, pretty much no matter how hard you pull or something, there's going to be something that's loose in there. So, grab the knot, put all your fingers in the loop end, and kind of pull. So that way, if there's one of them that's just a little short, you can pull it out of that knot and kind of make things a little bit more even. So, all right. Put this over here, all to the side. Get that ready for that. And then grab some colors. What do I want to use? Do I have enough black? Aha! That is black. Is this also black? Oh. Nope, I can't use that one. My son got into it. So, all right. So, which regular viewer do I have in the channel today? Is that you, Ludo, or Messina? So, give me a second to put these away so they don't unravel on me and make a big old mess. I'm gonna guess that must be Ludo giving me a watch, but he's at work, so he's got me on mute, or his fingers are tied up doing work things. Well, I appreciate the consistent view. Thank you. All right. How many loops do I want to do this one in? Let's just do 5. So that way we don't spend forever this hour in doing all of that work. So we're going to go ahead and do a black and white scheme today. Depending on how well this works out, I might give it to a friend of mine who he does historical reenactment like I do, and he has a Japanese persona. So he studies Japanese culture, to learn more about its historical significance and, what do they do, how do they dress, what do they eat, um, you know, and that kind of thing. So I think this would be a nice little thing for him to use somewhere. So in doing bicolored loops, this is the one where we're going to have to cut each one free. So it becomes even more important to make sure that our ends are lined up correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and measure all these out and then cut everything all at once. It kind of helps to keep things closely to being even. So because we're doing 5 loops, we're going to go ahead and measure out 5 times instead of just the number of loops per color. So we have 3, 4, 5. If you hear some background noise, I live in an 1880s farmhouse in Kansas, and the house is designed to take advantage of drafts. So I've got my door open because we have beautiful weather today, and I don't have to turn my central air on or my heating or anything like that, and I could get some fresh air in the house. So let's see, where did I put the end of that black at? Here we go. I think I found it. So just going to wind off some of this black. And the black and white is also silk bamboo. The particular company is Patents. Get that a little closer for you. So the mix itself is 70% bamboo, 30% silk. I think it is lovely stuff. I do have some that eventually I probably will do on camera. I actually have banana fiber that was hand spun for me by a friend of mine whose name is Anna Plantain. So we all thought that was a nice little pun joke there. So we all like to call her Anna Banana, and here she is spinning banana fiber for me. So, but let's see, what do we got here? What's this? Maybe we can hide that. A little bit of it looks like one of the threads when they were spinning this together got spliced together, and maybe a little part of it kind of floofed out a little bit. So it's not the end of the world for what we're doing. So we'll see if we can't make that hide itself inside the braid. So 2. Yeah, I need to work on a look camera or a look command. So let's see, that is 3, 4, and 5. this one free. Set that off to the side. Get those out of the way. Bit of, so once you cut one end free, a little tip is kind of make sure all the ends are even. Come all the way to the other end, and instead of trying to cut the pieces, just cut the whole end off. So. And now comes the actual tedious part of this, is we're going to match up one of each color. So this is a useful skill to know, in that when you get ready to do some of the other braids, particularly like the Kiko braids, you know, a lot of the loops are bicolored loops, so it's useful to know how to do this. Now there's two ways to do a bicolored loop, and I'm going to show you one way, and then I'm actually going to do the second way, and that's the way we're going to do with all of them, or all with the rest of them. So the one way to do it is to actually just knot the end of both ends, so that way you get one strand per upper shank and lower shank, and you have one giant loop. So the other way, it doubles up your threads for your shanks, makes a little bit bigger braid for you, and that is to go ahead and lay one. Let's do the black one first, so you can see. It's to lay one thread or one strand one way, and then you're going to lay the other one like a cross, and then you're going to pick up that first color and then release your hand so you have the other color. And you can do this any way you want, but the idea is that you want to connect the two different strands this way. And so just pull out, and then you're just going to take all four ends and you're going to line them all up. Give it one good last stretch. And what you're doing here is you're actually putting a small memory in the loop right there, or in this strand material right there. And then we're going to go ahead and knot this one off. And by doing it this way, we actually can make sure that each loop is separated when we put them all together, and they can actually be separated out and unknotted all the way down to this point. All right, set that aside. I'm gonna have some magic bean juice, so feel sorry for you, Ludo. This one's for you. So, and let's repeat this 4 more times. So, almost lost that connection there. So, but yeah. So if you're just joining us or you're watching this later on, make a comment in the chat. I'll see it and I can get back to you later and try to answer your question after the fact. So please feel free to ask questions. If you ask after the fact, by making a comment in the chat to demonstrate something, I will do my best to demonstrate that in the very next stream. So, and just a reminder that I am streaming every weekday, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. And then also again Monday evenings, 7 to 8. And that is all Central Standard Time, which I think is GMT minus 6. So, yes, like I said, this is the tedious part of doing this. No other new braiders or viewers just yet. So, yesterday's flyers.
Walgreens where I got the milk.
Oh, all right.
They have a giant green bunny thing for $20. I'm thinking about getting the kiddo. I may get it. I'll give it to him. It's just so soft.
So, one of the things that you got to be conscious about when doing this is making sure that your knotted tail ends are pretty close to the same length. That way your actual loop length doesn't vary as much.
Do you mind if I use the microwave real quick?
I don't care. So, as I mentioned in my stream yesterday, loop braiding can take up a bit of space. So I have my own table in the second dining room. So the additional kitchen area space, I don't know. Like I said, it's an old farmhouse built by Norwegians.
With mad skills.
Yep. And for any woodworkers out there who watch this, and just to make Ludo cringe a little bit more because he can't have any, all of the main structural guts of this place, black walnut. Yes, dear.
I'm just watching.
Oh, okay.
It's my own version of live stream. Haha.
I don't know why she's watching. She's sick of me talking about this stuff. So.
Because I support it. I may not enjoy it or understand it, but I support it. You go.
Team Dodge.
All right. Hey, we only spent a half hour getting this all set up. then we go ahead and get these all ready to connect up. So what I'm doing here is I'm lining these up on my finger. Yeah, see, I made one of them a little short and the other one's a little long. It shouldn't be that much of a discrepancy in length, but you know, once you've done this enough times, you can make that work. So, but the reason why I'm lining these up on my finger is it helps to keep them separated, and makes it easier to make out the separations. So do that. Then let me put my handy dandy cheater bar in there. And let's raise this up. Did a little bit of work on it yesterday, so I had everything down. All right, I will be back in a moment, folks. Yes, that is a giant yoga ball in the background. I use it for my back. Uh-oh. I knocked the camera down a little bit. So, my boom arm, my professional boom arm, is due to come in today. Oh, why am I trying to make that look at my face? I'm getting ready to braid, and you're going to want to look at my fingers more than that. Put that there. All right. And yes, this is a giant piece of lapis. Again, Ludo, ha ha ha. So for this color placement, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave black up on all the fingers. So that separated out. That. Oops. Mocha punch. All right. So got here are my fingers. All right. So this particular move, to do the triangle braid. So what we're going to do is it's a two-step process: open and then over twist. But the entire time, what we're going to do is we're going to pull real hard this way, right, towards yourself, and then we're going to stretch real far, all while pulling real hard. And what that does in the over twist, where we're linking the top and the bottom shanks together, is it causes the material, the loops, the fibers to overlap each other. And this is a phenomenon you'll see in flat braiding, especially towards the end. If you're putting too much tension on your braid, you'll see that they'll start to overlap. Instead of laying side by side, they'll start to overlap. So in this case, we want to do this intentionally to create the effect. So through. So as you can see, especially with the bicolored loops, it's a lot easier to see. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to grab that top shank. Actually, I'm going to grab the bottom shank here. Sometimes it's easier to do the bottom, sometimes it's easier to do the top. And until you start getting into very specific braiding patterns and styles, it doesn't matter which direction you go. But there is a directional difference in grabbing it from the top or bottom shank. Oops, sorry about that. Now you'll probably see me do a few things. Like now I'm using my pinky to do that rotation instead of my finger like I was before. So, it's just a way to show you that, there are lots of ways to do this. Whatever way is comfortable for you. Let me adjust the camera angle a little bit better. You can see my fingers more. So if you're popping in, or you're watching this later on, we are doing Japanese loop braiding this morning, and we are working with silk bamboo blend. It is a yarn. I like to use this material for demonstrations and camera work, as it's easy to see what is going on. So if you're watching this later on, or if you happen to pop in while I'm talking, and you see something, please feel free to ask. Ask me to slow down, ask me to pause and show how I'm doing something. That's one of the reasons why I started doing this, is try to get more people to do Japanese loop braiding. And I am working on a bicolored triangle braid. So this braid will, instead of being round or square or flat, will have 3 sides. But the neat thing is if you want to, you can actually flatten out the braid into an actual flat braid. What makes it a triangle is that we're pulling the loops so tightly that they are pulling the edges towards the middle, and it creates a triangle shape. But you can massage it and make it flat. So, uh-oh, I forgot to do something. I forgot to twist something up. So we're going to go ahead and go back. So basically, in that mistake, I just walked my fingers back down, and I'm going to run my index finger back through those loops and grab the one I just pulled through. And I had already untwisted this. Welcome, new viewer. We are working on a Japanese loop braiding, and we're actually working on a triangle braid. So walking down, I'm fixing a mistake that I made. Pulling that through. Let's see. Yep. So head one, and there's the second one. Let's retension and back to normal. So what we're doing is a triangle braid. It is very similar, or the move sets are similar to a two-step flat braid, which is open, closed, open, closed. The difference is that we are doing, instead of the closed move, we're doing an over twist so that the loop does 360 degrees. And then we are intentionally over tensioning the braid. It is the over tensioning that creates the triangle shape by pulling the edges towards the center. So if I'm going too fast, ask me to slow down, please. Or if you want to see how I'm doing something, give a shout out, ask a question. So, loop braiding is a physical workout. It doesn't look like it would be, but it is. It's going to hit your upper back, your shoulders, and in my case, because I'm looking at my monitor off to the side, it gives my neck a workout too. So, let's see, where was I? Let's see, triangle braid. Oh yeah, because it's a modified flat braid with the edges pulled in, what you can do with this is you can actually unfold parts of it so that you can stitch them down flat onto something and still maintain sections that are triangle shaped. Additionally, the other thing that you could do is you can actually, in between triangle bits, do a run of 5, 6, 7. You'll have to measure it out. Open moves, and what you can do with that is you now have a piece of triangle shaped trim with buttonholes. I like to point that out because a lot of people, when they hear about that, they're like, oh my goodness, you can do that? You can make trim with built-in buttonholes? Yep. So, all right. Get that an extra twist there. So, but there is a lot that we can do with Japanese loop braiding. we have a handful of known patterns and stuff. I think the fun is trying to figure out how to take known existing moves and either combine them into new ways or changing up the color pattern. I say color pattern, the color placement of loops on your fingers or hands that changes the color pattern while maintaining the loop pattern, and you end up getting pretty much a whole new braid without having to learn a new move set or move pattern. So I got asked yesterday about books or materials telling us what were braids used for. And I said that there wasn't any books. So I need to I want to go ahead and clarify that statement a bit, in that there are no known Japanese books pre-1600s that talk about what braids were used for. Now, there is quite a bit of personal research done that talks about what braids were used for, and a good majority of that is written by Masako Kinoshita. And her research is based off of paintings, scroll work, and extant samples. So one of the unique things about European loop braiding is that they do actually have a braiding manual that talks about what loops or what loop braided braids were used for. So getting to the end of this braid. This one goes pretty quick, especially in this thicker material. About 15 minutes for the whole thing. So, do we have any other questions from anybody? So if you have questions, maybe not necessarily questions about, how to do the braiding itself. If you've got questions about the history, tools, what kind of tools they used, anything about Japanese loop braiding that you could think of. What materials did they use? What is the history of? When did they start doing it? When did they stop doing it? Why did they stop doing it? Any of those kind of questions, feel free to ask. A lot of people that I've come across when they start studying loop braiding is they ask the questions of, what are the patterns? Okay, what are the moves? And then that's kind of the end of their research. And that's not bad. It's not to say that they should have gone on to more. That's just, that's what they're interested in, and that's what they like, and that is okay, as Mr. Rogers would say. But like I said before, I'm fascinated by the hows and whys. Why did they do this? What are the influences of things? So one of the fascinating things is that loop braiding and kumihimo existed side by side for about 200 years, and I can't get my fingers in there anymore. For about 200 years, and then, you know, and then it kind of disappeared almost entirely. So, and if you get questions about Kumihimo, you know, go ahead and ask. You know, I don't mind. I feel that knowing the history of Kumihimo and loop breeding is a good thing. Oh, that one didn't get trapped in there. Oh, I missed one. That's all right. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this, or turn the camera down a little bit more so you can see the braid pattern. Try not to shake the boom arm a little too much. And let's give you a little bit of a backdrop so that the white will show through. So what we have here, this is the middle line right here of the braid. And then, so this is going to be one half of the braid. That's the other half of the braid right here. And then if we turn it around, this seam right here, that seam right there, that is where the two edges meet. And if we take our finger and we pull them apart a little bit and give it a little bit of a massage, we now have a flat braid that, instead of having and because we did a bicolored loops, and then we did a color placement of all black up and doing open and over twist, we were able to maintain a side-by-side stripes. So you may be asking, why is the white side a little bit thicker than the black side? Well, part of that is an optical illusion because of you know, what the color black does. Part of that is the camera angle. I'm trying to get a good camera angle for it. And then the other part is that, like I said, the over twisting, it pulls the middle part inward, and so one side is gonna still end up being floated over the other one. So, and it looks like this time around it was the black portion of it got the brunt of it. Oh, actually, well, no, that might just be the end where I didn't give it enough relief. All right. So we set out to make a triangle braid, and we did. So I hope you enjoyed that. And for those watching later on, I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you got any questions, feel free to ask, please. It's why I'm here. It's why I do this. You know, I want to talk more about braiding. You know, do the braiding, show the braiding. You know, if you do you want to talk about moves? Do you want to talk about patterns? Do you want to talk about pattern theory? You know, ask. Let's talk about that. If you want to talk about history and stuff like that, ask. You know, it's what I want to do. what I like to do. So, got questions? Ask. If you've seen this, or if you're watching this, and you've got somebody that you think might be interested in watching, point them this direction. Point them to my channel. So, all right. Thank you, and have a good day. Let's see. Who are my 2 viewers? Do we want to go ahead and close this out, or do you want to go ahead and roll over and watch some spinning? I think today. I think she's doing spinning today. Oh, it doesn't look like she's... Is she not on? Nope, I guess she's not on right now. Let's see who else is on. Nope, I guess we're just going to go ahead and close this out today. Nobody is live that I would send you over to. All right, thank you. Have a good day.